Welcome everyone to another live. Today we're going to be doing SQL Interview Saturdays. Today we're going to be talking about SQL interviews, how to pass them. We're going to be doing some LeetCode questions. We're going to start it off with just a little bit of just conversations about like how to pass these interviews because they are absolutely critical. They show up in every single day. This is the only round that has always been asked in every single data engineering interview I've ever done in my entire life. So it'll be interesting to see what we can do here. We're going to be doing some LeetCode questions. We're going to be covering all that stuff. Make sure to stick around. There'll be some discounts at the end of this for my subscription product. I highly recommend checking that out if you want to get even more details on how to do this stuff. So we're going to be covering SQL interviews and all that stuff here. We're going to give people just a couple minutes here to mosey on in as they kind of like realize that I'm going live because I didn't actually what do I say here? I didn't actually post about this, right? So we gotta like, 1 second. I gotta find my slides real quick. Okay, they're there. Cool. We're gonna give people just a little bit more time to mosey on in. But if you guys want to drop in the chat where you're from, what's going on, like it'll be great. I'm curious because like we're gonna be covering everything that you need to know to pass the SQL interview today. It's a fun interview that like I love. I've felt very confident in that interview. I have taken that interview like 20 or 30 times, and I've also been the interviewer like 100 times. So like I know all about like what is the right way to do things. So yeah, we're gonna give people like about 2 more minutes to mosey on in here. But like I just wanted to say welcome everyone. What's up, Erica? How's it going? Or Eric, I mean Eric Mota. How's it going? Nice to meet you. Glad you could make it. Yeah, well, this should be great, especially like if you are going to be interviewing here in the near future. This should be really good and thoughtful presentation that you guys could be thinking about here. All right, so we're going to give people just 2 more minutes. Let's see what's going on here as people kind of mosey on in here, and we're going to be building all the different kind of energies and stuff to like really get all this stuff rolling. It's going to be should be a good time. I'm really excited to like get everyone in here. I posted it for 2 o'clock though, and I just went live a little bit early to see what's going on here. But like, yeah, what's up, Bjorn and Bailey from Georgia? Nice. Welcome. Yeah, we're gonna start here in about 1 minute. Let me share my screen. Cool. There we go. We'll be starting here in just 1 minute. Just give people just a little bit more time as they kind of like mosey on in, because like I know I decided to do this really last minute, but I know more and more people will kind of step into this after they realize like, holy shit, Zach's teaching solid gold right now. So I don't know. People love to talk about interviews, and I hate teaching interviews. This is like literally like when I think about like what is my least favorite thing to teach, it's LeetCode and SQL interviews. But it's what you guys love. So it doesn't really matter what Zach thinks, right? Because this is what you guys love. So we'll be starting here in 1 minute. If you guys want to drop any questions that y'all might have about the SQL interview, I will definitely get some time to answer those in this live as well. So make sure to drop those in there. So yeah, let's just let's get into this. This presentation is pretty short, so not too crazy. Oh yeah, let me do this. Let's go. So in SQL, there's in the SQL interview, there's really there's two rounds of the interview, right? You have the screener interview and the deep interview. Generally speaking, the first interview, the screener interview, is mostly there to set up to ask like, does this person know SQL? Can this person actually like code at all? Like, because if they don't know how to code at all, then we want to get them out quickly. So that's like the screener interview. Usually the screener interview is going to be done by like a junior engineer or a mid-level engineer. You're not going to get like a super experienced person in the screener interview. And then you have the deep interview where you will get senior plus, you might even get an engineering manager or a senior plus engineer to give you that round. So advice is a little bit different between the 2 rounds, but let's get into it. So when I worked at Facebook, I was a junior engineer, and I did so many of these screener rounds, right? And in other companies, I've noticed this as well, that this is pretty similar across the board. This isn't something that like is very different. So it's generally speaking 40 to 60 minutes. And then they're going to ask you 3 to 5 easy to medium difficulty SQL questions, right? Like It might be like a simple group by, a simple join. It's not going to be anything that's going to be like busting your balls. Like there's not going to be anything too crazy. I've literally like this round always feels like such a gimme and such a waste of time because I'm like, thanks guys. Like I obviously already know this stuff. But when I was interviewing, when I was the interviewer at Facebook, like you would be surprised. Like, only about 50% of people make it through this round. So like one of the things that I want to encourage you guys to remember is like when you're seeing like 1,000 applicants apply to a job, half of them are unqualified in the first round. Half of them don't even know how to code SQL. They don't even know how to write select star from where. They don't even know how to like do the most basic fucking SQL questions that you could even imagine. And then like they're applying for data engineer roles. And it's like kind of crazy. They're like, I think I can get a role at Facebook and I don't even know how to write SQL. And it's like, okay, bro, good luck. And it's kind of interesting because like the recruiter screen sometimes isn't very good. And that's a big thing to be thinking about as like we're going into this. And remember, everyone, like stick around in this live because we're going to be going over some LeetCode questions near the end. I'll be doing like maybe 3 to 5 LeetCode questions that we can kind of like work on together as well, so you can see exactly how to solve these problems in real time. So what mistakes happened in this screen around? The number one mistake here is jumping right into coding. Like people, I think they like LeetCode has trained them to just like try to immediately solve the problem because LeetCode and SQL interviews are different because SQL interviews are going to be like there's another person watching you. So you can ask clarifying questions and they want you to ask clarifying questions. If you're not asking clarifying questions, you're being a dummy because you're making it harder than it should be. And you are signaling to the recruit or you're signaling to the interviewer that you aren't good at communicating. So like it's both. Like you, even if you know how to do the problem, asking clarifying questions is a good thing and it's a good signal that you want to send to the recruit or to the interviewer regardless. So other big things here, right? Like at Facebook, they like to just cover ANSI SQL. So like you need to be able to solve problems with self joins and not use window functions. So there are some problems that are interesting where like you can solve pretty much every problem with that can be solved with a window function with a self join. It's possible. You just have to know how to do the join conditions correctly. So you should be able to know how to do that, like, and not have to rely on window functions as much. But with that being said, other places are going to ask for window functions. They're going to ask for exactly that. They want you to use exactly the window functions. So knowing how to use the window functions, but also replicate SQL logic without window functions are both very important aspects of the SQL interview. And if you're not doing those things, like just learn it. Just learn it. You should be very fluent in this, right? Also, don't rely on UDFs too much. Just try to use ANSI SQL. Like if you don't know what ANSI SQL, it's like sum, count, where, group by, select star from, order by, limit, group by, having, right? All those. And then you have like you just don't have any of the fancy aggregation functions. The fancy aggregation functions are out. And yeah, don't talk too fast. Don't vomit on people. People don't like you to vomit on them. They really, really don't like you to vomit on them. So yeah, let's go to the next. So when you're asked a question, right? There's a big thing to be thinking about here, which is like you want to be hearing English and mapping it to SQL in your mind, right? So a key one here is ordinal words. So if you're looking for first, second, third, fourth, blah, 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 all those are going to be mapped to window functions, right? Generally speaking, that's going to be rank, dense rank, and row number. So if you need one row per ordinal, always use row number. Row number will never have any, there's no ties. There's no ties, right? That's going to be a big thing. And then you have dense rank, where if you can have ties, I've like never found rank to be the right answer when I've done SQL interviews. It's always dense rank or row number. But like maybe there's a case. It's like if it's like an Olympic medal thing, maybe there's a case. But rank is like almost never used. So it's almost always dense rank and row number. I've noticed at least. If you hear the word rolling is a word where that's another trigger for a window function. That's where you're going to be using the rows clause, rows between 30 preceding and current row. That's going to give you a 30-day rolling sum. It will look at the previous 30 days. That's another important thing to be thinking about as you're mapping things. Because remember, in these interviews, you have a very quick time to deconstruct the problem and mapping it over, right? So if you have metric by dimension, so like for example, like how many likes are in India, or how many likes are in each country, or how many women liked this post, or how many women bought a product, or how many women did not buy a product, those kind of things, right? Those are gonna that kind of language should always be mapped. So when you hear metric by dimension, like likes by country, likes by gender, purchases by age, whatever the fuck you want to do there, then you want to map that over into partition by and group by. Those are going to be the aggregation functions that map that over so that you can more effectively answer these questions in the interview. Then you have hierarchies, funnels, month over month, year over year. So these depend on the interviewer. Like, so at Meta, they really rely a lot on ANSI SQL. So if you're using ANSI SQL, then you probably will need to use a self join to solve this problem. But you might be like at another company where they want you to use a window function, because a window function is the significantly more elegant way to solve the problem. But they might push you to use ANSI SQL, and then you should know how to do it with a self join. Another very critical one is find all the things that don't have X attribute. So like it's like find all the users who have not bought something, right? So that's usually you have a users table and like an orders table, and then you do a left join, and then you say where order ID is null. So it's like left join where order ID is null. So the thing is, the key words that trigger there are like find all the things that don't have X attribute. So the keyword there is don't have. So because it's don't have, we're going to need a left join to keep all the rows of everything in the join. And then we need to put a where clause in there to filter it out to find the rows that don't match. So you have to do both of those together in order to like really master these kind of questions, right? And one of the things that you'll notice is like after you have done like 50 or 100 of these SQL questions, that's all the thing that really matters, right? A couple other things to be thinking about, right? Really, there's only three things that matter. Query readability matters, right? Don't write dog shit fucking SQL. Don't do it. Your thought process matters. Don't freaking like just silently solve the problem. And solving enough questions also matters. That's something that everyone knows matters. They know that that's the one that matters the most, but it doesn't actually necessarily matter the most. You have to get enough of them. Like, so they ask you 3 to 5 questions in the Facebook interview, and you have to get 4 right. You have to get 4 or 5 right in order to pass to the next round. So that's going to be the things to be thinking about, like as you're like working through these problems. Don't stress yourself out so much. Like remember that you're also interviewing with someone, and there's a person on the other side, right? So let's talk a little bit more about the deep interview, because say, okay, you grinded your LeetCode and now you have your on-site interview. You're freaking out because you might get a job at Facebook, and you're like, holy shit, bro, it's time to like actually buckle in. So the deep interview is going to be longer. It's going to, instead of 45 to 9 or 45 to 60 minutes, there's going to be it's going to be 60 to 90-minute interview where you really dive deep into each of the areas of SQL optimization. So the areas here that are super important are going to be table scans, indexes, partitioning, optimizations, and query plans. Those are going to be the big things. And let's dive a little bit deeper into each of these, right? So like remember, oh yeah, so in the deep interview, right? Like we'll get to the actual indexes and everything here in a second, but like in this deep interview, remember, like it's not just about getting the right answer. Your thought process and your likability matters a lot. Like one of my goals, this is one of my goals that has served me extremely well. Keeping in mind that like I've interviewed at almost every single big tech company, and I've gotten offers from all of them except for OpenAI and Robinhood. And like one of the things that I realized is that like you have to be likable as well, especially in this round. In the screener round, you don't really necessarily need to be likable because it's just testing whether or not you actually know how to code. But in this round, like being likable matters a lot. So like having a good thought out process. I have a goal of always trying to make the interviewer laugh at some point. So that's the thing is like they're going to grade you on a scale of 1 to 4, where 1 and 2 means you don't get the job. 3 and 4 means that you are a good candidate for the job. So there's a lot of candidates who actually their performance is in between 2 and 3. So they're in between weak pass and weak accept. And the thing is like the intangibles of like being likable and having a good personality and like really setting a story of like, I am a good person to work with, that is a really solid way to go about like going from 2 to 3. That's it's really amazing. It's a really amazing way to keep moving, and it takes the stress off, right? So just some other tactics here, right? I remember when I interviewed at Meta, like it was just one 8 hour interview. And like I was like, holy shit, never again, never again. And now like I try to do it where like I can do 4 hour blocks. I do 4 hour blocks, right? And the thing is like in between each though, I want a 30-minute break. So it does take about 6 hours, but then I get that 30-minute break in between rounds so that I can be fresher. So I don't like, especially like I noticed this, I made this mistake in the OpenAI interview because I just did 5 hours in a row. And I actually, in the last round of my OpenAI interview, I was just really tired and really frustrated. And that caused me to fail that last round because that guy said I was not a culture fit because I was just kind of burnt out with the interview because I just didn't give myself enough breaks. And had I, because I aced all the technical rounds, I failed the behavioral round at OpenAI. But always exercise before. I find reducing, especially if you have ADHD, getting like a 1 mile or 2 mile run in before your interviews, if you can, is a very solid way to reduce your jitters because you want to look cool, calm, and collected. Let's go back a little bit. Okay, so back to this. We're going to talk a little bit more about like the four things here: table scans, indexes, optimizations, query plans. Right. So table scans. Right. So SQL has its own big O notation, right? So you can actually look at a query and understand how many rows it's going to scan and how much data it's going to consume. And if you can talk reliably about that kind of stuff, that's going to really help you shine in the deep round. You also have like indices and partitioning, like what keys should you be partitioning and indexing your tables on? Another super important one. Optimizations here, like there's a bunch of things like should you push your where clause deeper into your CTEs? Like you remember like the key things here in optimizations, like a big one is filter as soon as possible. Always filter as soon as possible. That's a big one, right? And aggregate if you can, aggregate and dedupe as soon as possible. Those things all matter a lot. And then query plans are really awesome. If you can use the explain keyword to kind of like step through the logic of like what is going on and what is actually happening in your query and being able to intelligently talk about it. That's a big thing because guess what? Most people, they never use the explain keyword. They just write their query and they're like, why is this so slow? Right? So that's going to be your the SQL round to be thinking about. But yeah, any questions? Yeah, let's how are these still needed asked by companies when most use AI for queries? Most people do not use AI for queries. That's a dumb that's a dumb thing to say, thing to think, right? Because it's like just because AI generates a query doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's optimized, and doesn't mean it's good, right? And you still have to know how to write it, right? You still have to know how to write the query and understand if it's correct, right? And so it's like, why are these still asked if AI is still? It's like it's kind of like saying like why do we write SQL and we can just Google it, right? That's the same thing. It's the same thing, bro. Right. So, yeah, these are still asked in every single data engineering interview, and they're still very important and still necessary for the coming future, for the next long time. Right. It's one of those things where, like, everyone, they say this, but they don't actually understand. Right. Like that, like AI is not there yet. AI still makes an unbelievable number of mistakes. And it's kind of like being like, why learn how to write SQL when you can just have a shitty intern do it for you? Right. That's literally what this question is saying. So let's go to this one. It'd be interesting to know what changes would you make to SQL or other database systems to better support developers like yourself. Are there any features or technologies that you think would really enhance the experience? For example, if these DBs did not exist and you'd need to make a new one. Well, I mean, I really, one of the things I would love to, I don't know if you guys ever use the qualify keyword. The qualify keyword is a really amazing keyword that you can use to filter, but those things are not, the qualify keyword is not, universally supported by all databases yet. So I would love to get the qualify keyword added to the ANSI standard so that it becomes one of the 7. So, you have like select from where, having group by order by limit. And then you also have qualify. Qualify would be the last one that you can do, right? That's going to be the way to think about it, right? ANSI SQL and portability are the same. If we want to think, yeah, like if you write your queries to the lowest common denominator, then you can definitely do that, right? That's a good one to do it. How can one answer cost questions on SQL? Well, like you have to know how much data is being processed, right? And then like maybe look up like how much data it costs, right? So you have think about like the places where so there's three places where you take a cost, right? So you have ingress, egress, and compute, right? Those are going to be the reading in data, writing data, and like computing data, right? So yeah, it's like EC2 and S3. Those are going to be. It might be you might be using SQL Server or another thing. If you're using SQL Server, a lot of times these queries are more flat cost because you're just paying for the server all the time. You're not paying per use. So like the answer here really depends on the architecture and like what you're using it for. But like this comes back to how many table scans and how much data is being processed, right? Abhishek, how do I salvage a query once I get it slightly wrong the first time? I mess it up even if just the output is slightly wrong in the first attempt. Well, like part of that is you need to be thinking about what is the logic that is wrong, what is the logic that is different, what is the logic that you can change, right? Because if you can do those things, then that would be the best way to be looking at it. Like, and maybe start over. Maybe like if you feel like you can't get it right after getting it wrong on the first attempt, like try it and try and attack the problem again in another way, right? And maybe use AI as like an aid to like give you other suggestions of like why is this query wrong, and AI can also nudge you in the right direction as you kind of like learn more things, right? That's the way to be thinking about it. I can answer like two more questions, and then we will get into the actual like LeetCode section of this, where I like actually suffer with you guys, and we go through some of the problems, and we can actually build out like what is the answers to some of these questions, because there's some really good ones. There's some really good questions that we're going to be working with today. So I'm really excited for that. But I want to make sure I answer a couple of other questions. And let me 1 second. Oh yeah. Cool. Okay, so I just want to give you guys a discount code. I highly recommend checking out my product. Right, it's freaking really cool. You can do SQL Saturday 40. Will get you 40% off. And this is for the first 5 people who join. And you can get 40% off my bootcamp or my subscription product or anything that you are interested in joining. We go a lot deeper in all of this interview stuff, and also all about like data lakes, architecture, everything like that. I want to like kind of go over a little bit of that with you guys real quick, and then I promise I'll be done with the sales. Just give me 1 second here. So if you join the subscription product, right, we have 6 hours of content on all of the interview skills that you might want to learn about. There's also a good freaking couple hours on AI. Then you have 6 hours on LinkedIn branding, and then there's this New Year bootcamp is amazing. So if you want to learn Airflow, Snowflake, Databricks, Spark, all these things, it's going to be really good. And remember, like if you join this product, you also get free access to the cloud. You get Databricks, Astronomer, Discord, GitHub, AWS, OpenAI, and Snowflake if you join the subscription product, and you can get 40% off for the duration of this live. So definitely check out SQL Saturday 40 if you want to get 40% off this product, and you can get it's a really good deal. Remember, this is only valid while I'm writing LeetCode, and then after that it will be gone. Do you have a data engineering course for beginners? Yes, I do. If you go to learn.dataexpert.io, I have a free beginner data engineering course that you can check out. And there's like 50 hours of content there as well. So, okay, let's see what this guy's saying. Your opinion on Databricks Genie? I feel like since many already use Databricks for storage, wouldn't it make it easy for integration? Yeah, I mean, Databricks Genie is pretty dope. I mean, they're doing a good job. Like, I honestly feel like Databricks is they're innovating and meeting the market where they're at, and not trying to like have the market do something different, right? And that's like a really powerful thing that you can do, like, because that's really where all the goodness can happen, right? Is in that space, right? Like is really building products that really meets the market where it's at, kind of that product market fit sort of idea, right? So yeah, I mean, it's going to be great, right? Uh, like let's go ahead and let's go ahead and go into the LeetCode section of this live. So if you guys want to join and follow along, right? So if you go to data expert, so dataexpert.io/questions. I have my own LeetCode experience, dataexpert.io/questions. You might need to log in and make an account here. But then we have all these questions here around all sorts of different uh, ways that we are doing things, right? So there should be, where's consecutive? Oh yeah, this one's great. Okay, cool. So we're gonna go to consecutive 20-point seasons. So we're looking at who are the top 10 NBA players by consecutive 20-point seasons. So this is gonna be what we're working with today. Is there a way I can make this a full screen? Okay, we'll just work up. We'll work with it. So let's go ahead and run this query and just kind of like look at like what's happening here. So so this is our data, right? And so we need to have two columns at the end. We need to have player name and consecutive seasons. And you'll see in here we have all of these people who are like, there's a lot of data in here. I don't know if you know that. There's like thousands and thousands of rows of data. It's like all of the NBA stats for like 30 years or something like that. So we're going to be working with this as we kind of step through this project. So how do we figure out like consecutive, right? So one of the things to be thinking about here is we need to be looking at, so we have player name, and then we can say lag, right? And we can say points. And we can say over, partition by season, order by, or I mean, partition by player name, my bad, player name, order by season. And so this will give us, we're going to do lag 1. And then we have, say, lead 1. So, and then we're just going to look at points here, and then we'll look at season. So let's just look at this query real quick to understand like why this, I forgot a comma. So this query should give us, okay, so now we have, Andrew or Aaron Wiggins here with, we have, we need another comma. My bad. We need another comma here. There we go. So you'll see this is going to be like Ben Wallace. This is the current season, right? This is the previous season, and this is the next season, right? So the goal here is we want to see like if the current season is 20, and then the next season is also 20. That's the start of a streak. It's the start of the beginning of a streak that we're going to be managing as we go through this problem. Just letting you know, this is one of the most complicated SQL questions. So like if we're getting baptized by fire here. But first thing we're going to say here is we're going to call this with lagged as. We're going to be using a bunch of CTEs to kind of nest this together, right? So, and we're going to have these, I'm going to say as points last season. We're going to say as points next season. All right. And then we're going to call this as points this season. We're just going to be very, very clear. So we're going to say select player name. And then we're going to say, we're going to put in, we're going to say thing. We're going to say points this season is greater than 20. And points last season is greater than 20. Then 1, else 0, end. So this is a case statement. So they're going to say this is as streak started. Okay. Then we have season. Then we can just say from lagged. Did I freaking forget a comma? Case. Oh, I forgot the when. When. So now this is going to give us our streak started. So I'm going to put just where player name equals. We're going to put LeBron James in here just because like we want to see like a player who actually has data. So you'll notice here we have so we have the streak started here, and then we have all of the seasons, right? So I think what we want to do here is there's going to be essentially the other way to be thinking about this, right, is so if points this season, so you'll notice that we have this streak started, right? And this is all good. This is all like because he's been scoring 20 points like every season. So he has a very long streak. So this looks right to me. But I think what we want to do here, right, is this is going to be a 0 and then this is a 1 because we want to sum it up. This will make more sense here in just a second, I promise. So we actually want to call this, so this is a streak started and then it keeps going and going and going. That makes more sense now. Okay, so this is going to be what we call our, we're going to call this streaked as. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're going to say, what did I call this? Streak started. So we're going to say select player name. We're going to say row. Let me say, no, it's just sum. Sorry, sum streak started. And then we also want to keep points this season in here, points. Some streak started over, partition by player name, order by season. I don't mean to put the and in there. Okay, then we're going to say this is going to be as streak identifier. This will make more sense here in just a second, I promise. Then we're going to put season, then from streaked. So now this is going to give us, okay, so you'll notice here now, like LeBron here has all of these streaks, but let's go ahead and like remove that filter just to like look at like what other players might look like. So you'll notice here, like these streak identifiers are, it just keeps going up for a lot of players because there's not that, like having a player score 20 points in consecutive seasons is actually very rare, right? So you'll see like Alonzo Mourning pulled it off here. He did it in 2 seasons here, right? So like, let's go ahead and look at, let's just add that points this season so that it can be a little bit more clear, like what's going on here. So see, this guy is just not scoring 20, like ever. Where's Alonzo Mourning? Oh, he's back. Alonzo G. Is it not like, is this like not in alphabetical order? Let's go, let's just add in the where player name equals LeBron James. This will make more sense as we like filter the data set down. So you'll see, like, you see how this is all part of one gigantic streak. So this is all part of one gigantic streak, right? Because he's just always above 20, right? So this is pretty close now. So what we need to do here, right, is we need to just take this. We're going to call this, this is our streak identifier. So now we're just going to call this like one more CTE here. We're going to call this streak identified as. And we have our streak identified. Then we can say select player name. We're going to say, yeah, count season. But we want to put a case in here. Case when points this season is greater than 20, then season, and just so that we don't count this, we don't give people credit if they have, if they don't have it. And then we have, so then in here, we're going to say from streak identified, group by player name, streak identifier. So now we need to call this, we need to have the same name here. We have as consecutive seasons. So now this query, okay, so, and it's probably saying like the top 10. Make sure to handle ties correctly. Okay, and find the top 10 players, right? So what we need to do here, right, is we have our, this is now looking pretty good. We just need to, what we need to do here now is we need to go ahead and put this in one more, right? So this is like consecutive seasons as, right? Then that gives us this guy. Then we just need to like think about rows, right? So now we are going to be, does not let me go further down. Okay, can we like move some of these things up here? I'm just going to like give myself a few more lines of code to like kind of work with. Okay, there we go. Then we can say select star from consecutive seasons. And we can say we need to put like a row number in here, right? We can say, or we're gonna say rank or dense rank. We're gonna use dense rank here, dense rank over, and then we want to say consecutive seasons, right? Or we're gonna say order by, right? Order by consecutive seasons descending as rank, right? And then we can just say order by rank. So now this, see now we have, there's LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, right? They have like their consecutive seasons, the number of seasons in which they did this, right? So we also want to put a where in here where we can say where consecutive. Does this work? All right, this needs to be something different, right? Because it's interesting that it works by like, you know, the column and CTE are the same name. I'm going to call this CS so it freaking works better. So we can say where consecutive seasons is greater than 0, right? Because we don't want to like, this should dramatically reduce the data set. Yeah, see now we only have 228. This is the number of people who have pulled off seasons, but like a lot of these people just have like a single season, right? So that's not a consecutive season. That's just one season, right? So we really wanted to be greater than 1. And this is going to mean that they had back-to-back consecutive seasons, right? So now what we want to do here, right, is we can just put a limit in here, right? We should be able to, well, there's ties though, right? You see how there's ties in the data set here? So if we want the top 10, we need to say where rank. We need to say, what the hell? You can't see your screen? Oh, what the hell? Okay, my bad. 1 second. Let me, I went to the wrong page. Sorry, guys. I freaking just realized I went to the wrong fucking page. Amazing. Okay, we're back here now. Let me copy everything. Yeah, I just ate shit right there. Thank you, guys. Okay, cool. Thanks. I love how that opened the wrong page. Okay, cool. Okay, so we have okay, dude. I give up. I'm done. Sorry guys, I fucked up. All right, have a good one, y'all. I hate my life. All right, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. It's freaking gross. Okay, I hope you guys have a fantastic time here, and I'm gonna get going. This was a gigantic waste of time. I hope you guys have a fantastic Saturday, and I will catch you guys back here another day. So that should be pretty good. Cool. Awesome. I hope you guys